to the 4-speed disassembly, but before we get started on this main shaft disassembly, I just wanted to show you. I've been working getting parts cleaned up and inspecting them. I like to obviously put them in these baggies after I've done that to keep them clean, because sometimes I don't know how long it's going to be till I get back to reassembly. There's the side plate cleaned up. So been working on that. Now, as far as the main shaft subassembly, the first thing to do is get the speedometer gear off. So before you start pulling it off, make some type of measurement to indicate where on the main shaft it was, because to be honest with you, I don't see a place where there is a step or shoulder or anything that would locate this gear specifically. So I went ahead and made a measurement. Of course, that's assuming whoever was in it last put it back to the right place. But the speedometer pinion wasn't eat up, damaged, so hopefully it was in the right place. I'm gonna I have to take this off to get it disassembled, but also I have to put a different part number gear on, because since I changed from a 307 to a 331, the gear for the 331 and lower axle ratios is different than the 307 for some reason. So I do have one of those ordered from Studebaker International, and I got the correct pinion ordered. This is my pulling setup. Basically, it's a plate, and I'll show you. Basically, it looks like that. Don't know why I made two of them. I probably forgot I'd made the first one, but it slips behind the speedometer gear. Then you got a heavy plate threaded for a bolt. Put some all thread in, some nuts here, and you crank on that bolt to pull it off. I put a piece of brass copper between the bolt and the main shaft. What I need to do is machine this to a point that'll fit in the lathe center on the end of the shaft, but I haven't done that. I'm not going to show you taking this off because, to be honest with you, I've already taken it off. I had to heat it. I ended up having to use a map torch and heat that gear because it was on there. In fact, I started bending this plate. It was on there tight. I could not believe how tight it was. But put a lot of pressure on it, or tension on it, heated it, and I finally heard it go clunk, and it was loose. So I pulled it off the rest of the way. But this is the setup that you'd use, very similar to the factory tool to pull it off. I guess if you have a press, you could put it in a press, but when that thing will pop loose, then this whole assembly will drop down in if you have a hydraulic press. I don't think I'd want to risk that. But anyway, this is how I do it. So let's this aluminum plate, I put that here to keep from burning up the towel and the paper towel and all that under it when I was heating it. So let's go ahead and get this off, and we'll continue with disassembly. One thing I did want to mention, I did remember that there is a measurement in the shop manual for the speedometer gear. So hopefully you can see that right there. So look in your shop manual. It's there. One thing I do want to say is, don't try to do this without a shop manual. Borrow or buy the CD or something. Go online, find instructions. Okay, so speedometer gear's off. The reverse slider will just slide off. The next thing to do is we've got to turn it around. One thing you'll notice, hopefully you can see, I've marked the synchronizer hubs and sliders to make sure that they get back in the same place. That's what the book says, so I did it. We've got to get this snap ring off right here, so hopefully we can get you to where you can see this while I'm doing it, I hope. If you don't have a good set of snap ring pliers, you need them, because some of these snap rings are pretty stout. As you can see. Where'd that one go? Okay. And some of them are not the easiest to get off. There's the snap ring. You can see it's pretty good size. So it takes a stout snap ring pliers to get it off. Okay, so now we can start pulling these parts off. So the sleeve, and I'm going to lay these parts down as they come off. See, that doesn't want to come off. Oh, there's not a snap one. Oop. Make sure you get the little, what are those called? I'll remember here directly. Get those, don't lose those, although the kits will have replacements. They're called dogs, synchronizer dogs. Let's pop this spring out. I don't think that's what's holding it, but there's the spring for that hold the little synchronizer dogs in. I'm not sure why this isn't coming off. Let me do a little close investigating and we'll come back. Alright, we're back. One thing they teach us at work, stop if you're unsure or unsafe. Just want to make sure I didn't have another snap ring or something, and I don't. It just needs a little persuasion, so I got a rubber dead blow hammer, and off it comes. So well, maybe I spoke too soon. Come on. Just a little persuasion there. Same thing here. Guess I could try this. Alright, it is off. Make sure there is a very thin thrust washer right there. I don't think these are readily available, so be careful with this. That one came off easy, thank goodness. Now, the manual is showing keeping this synchronizer sleeve on, so when we press this plate out of the bearing, you're supported on that. So we're going to leave that on. We'll have to get this set up into the press, unless this looks loose enough where I might get it off. Nah. Hopefully you can see this. There's a snap ring in there that's going to have to be spread while you're pressing this plate off. So let's get this thing set up in the press and we'll come back. Alright, here's the assembly set up on the press. I've got the center support up on some 2x4s, and I notice I've also got some small pieces there, and the synchronizer sleeve will hit those pieces to keep this thing from dropping down to the floor, because I don't want this assembly to drop down the floor when it comes out of that adapter. And I can't hold it because I'm going to be using the pliers on the snap ring way up in there. Plus I'll be using the handle to activate the jack. So let's get you on the setup here so you can watch. Alright, got you up on the podium. So let's see what happens here. That's exactly why I put those blocks in there. Push it the rest of the way. Alright. So, that's off. The final disassembly step is to press the bearing off along with the gear and the synchro off the shaft. To do that, you have a snap ring right here you have to remove. Make sure you remove that I've got this up in my handy dandy little support here. This is another one of those tough ones that it takes quite a bit to spread and get off. Okay. So now we're ready. We'll go set it back up into the press again. Alright, back at the press again. This shouldn't be too hard. Just make sure you hold the shaft, that's all. Don't let it drop to the floor. There we go. So, major disassembly's done. So we got to finish cleaning up parts, see what parts have to be replaced, and start reassembling.